pullbacks like this are painful. They try people's patience. But bull markets are not all one big party.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm the Stacking Stormtrooper, and with me today is Director Quinton Hennigh from Newfound Gold Corp. I'm very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's a pleasure.
As of late, I've noticed within the stacking community on YouTube, it's basically, for those who are tuning in and this is new to you, precious metals stackers are individuals who are really, really big into buying silver and gold bullion. And lately we've seen a lot more in the way of interviews with mining companies. It's always exciting to kind of get your take on everything, especially in precious metals. And, I'm happy to have you here. So with that, I kind of wanted to just dive right in. And just ask you a couple quick questions. First one being talking about silver and gold, specifically how they both have been performing this year. Silver has been the best performing asset of 2020, better than NASDAQ 100. And third place is gold. A lot of people were saying that we were kind of in this bull market. And then we saw the news about the COVID vaccine, and we just saw this big pullback. I'm just kind of curious as to your thoughts.
Yeah, look, I would say that we are in a bull market. I don't think there's too much that would say otherwise. I know that pullbacks like this are painful. They try people's patience. But bull markets are not all one big party. They're, what's called climbing the wall of worry. There's up times, for every 2 steps forward, you got 1 step back, and we're in one of those backward steps right now. But if you look at precious metals, and you could look at a number of, charts and so forth, like gold, silver, but also things like the GDX and GDXJ, you can see that there's pretty clear evidence. This is a pullback, we'll say a medium-term pullback, say a 2 to 3 month pullback in which it'll find its footing again and take off. I don't think too many people are arguing otherwise. While the vaccines and stuff are certainly short-term, immediate news that might have an impact, over the long haul, the fundamentals around gold and silver and why to invest in precious metals is the case is going to strengthen over time. Mm-hmm. They are an asset that provides a bit of security as money is printed, and that's definitely in the cards. I don't think there's anybody on the planet that looks out in the future and sees a case where we're not printing considerable money to kind of work our way through the current debt pickle that we're in.
Yeah, and there's talks about the next stimulus that's going to be passed here in the U.S. I think the target date that everybody's looking at is kind of December 11th. And, I recently just posted a video talking about how there's a lot of people that constantly predict silver and gold prices, shooting the moon. I don't necessarily see silver and gold, skyrocketing anytime soon, but, I am bullish on precious metals. I do constantly tell my viewers that they should be investing. I tell my friends, I tell my family members, those who will listen to me. That's kind of why I took to YouTube. And I tell them the importance of owning silver and gold. And I would agree with you that I feel like this is probably just a temporary pullback. I view these moments as windows of opportunity that you should be bulking up more, whether it be in the physical, precious metals or stocks. And, a lot of people do, like you said, they kind of get impatient. They kind of, worry and they sell off too quickly. And a question for you too is overall, this year has been a strong year for silver and gold. And what do you see being the chief reason for that surge?
Well, look, I'll start at where you started. You don't want to see things go straight up. Okay, so gold and silver were actually on a very, we'll call it precarious asymptotic appreciation, say early August in that period, July, August
Hmm.
period. And it looked like, my gosh, the thing could go to the moon or something. Well, that's not necessarily where we want things to go. Okay. You want to see a nice, steady progression in a bull market. You don't want to see, a quick run up because,
You,
almost always you see a quick,
yeah,
fall after.
you know it's temporary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So look, I think this pullback, if anything, is putting us back on a steadier footing. Why have the metals performed this year? Well, I think it's directly related to the introduction of a large amount of money printing this year.
Oh yeah,
I think the number I saw recently was a little over 20% of all money that's ever been created, by the U.S. Has been created this year alone, which is
it's
just mind-boggling. So
crazy.
it is
Absolutely crazy. And like I said, they're looking to do it again. Um,
correct.
uh,
Yep.
and let's talk a little bit though also about some of your major successes in mining because I'll be honest with you, I am more traditional when it comes to investments, right? When it comes to owning, stock and physical metals, things like that. I recently had some friends trying to get me to get into cryptocurrency, and while they're big into that type of mining of Bitcoin, I don't own any shares in any gold mining stocks. We saw that huge announcement a few months back with Warren Buffett making his big investment. And so you've been involved in several major successes in the mining industry. What would you say is the most important feature of success, especially as an investor in that sector? Because, again, to be honest with you, the majority of the listeners that I have and viewers, I should say, they are mainly, really big on owning the physical stuff and not so much the actual, stock of a gold mining company. So, what would you say to those individuals?
It's really dependent on the individual person, what their risk tolerance is, whether they're comfortable getting into junior mining companies, especially. Look, it is a risky industry. Junior mining companies can see price swings of over 100% easily within a year. In fact, I think most do. So like you don't want to bet the farm.
Right.
Junior mining companies and this whole investment scheme in mining is around discovery. Okay, these companies are all, for the most part, they're all companies that do not have cash flow. They do not have producing assets. So you can, you basically are looking at companies that have to go to market to raise cash. They raise them through equity placements.
Mm-hmm.
But what do they do with that money? If they're a savvy company, a good company with good people and good project, they'll apply that money to making discovery, and that's where wealth is created. Now, I know that a lot of people probably uh, see the whole concept of going out and trying to find a gold deposit or find a silver deposit is quite abstract. But I can assure you, there's some very good people in this industry who have a good track record of discovery. They seem to be able to create value, sometimes repeatedly,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the lead advice I have for anybody looking to invest in the mining sector is follow people who you can see have a proven track record of success, who do what they say, who actually make discovery and create value. Now, the next thing I would say is, look at the assets. Look, I don't think I can educate, a large number of people on what makes a good asset, a good, we'll say body of rock in the ground that could make a lot of money. But
Mm-hmm.
but here's what I would say is, if you really want to get into the mining space, you've got to start doing some homework and looking at basically what makes a discovery valuable. Okay, so look, a lot of people they don't know much about mining. They jump into this company or that, based on a hunch or based on a
Right.
whim. Okay, you really want to roll up your sleeves and do some digging, and it's up to you. Okay, you can try to subscribe to various analysts and coverage and whatnot and try to get information that way. But I really advise people to do their own research, but also to look at what constitutes a deposit that a bigger company is going to want to buy, because that's the game here. Okay, junior companies are basically out searching for the next generation of mines,
Hmm.
and they're trying to find what a bigger company will want. Okay, so if you want to invest in this sector, you've got to know what the big companies want. Gold mining companies today want assets that are going to move the needle for them.
Right.
Look at companies like, say, a Newmont or a Barrick. They produce millions of ounces every year. So whatever companies they invest in, or whatever deposits they buy, or companies they take over, have got to have assets that will generate significant gold production, say at least 200,000 ounces a year, and also generate good margin. So that might translate to higher grades, or other favorable aspects about the deposit. But they need to make ounces. They need to make money mining those ounces. You've got to figure out what is appetizing to the major miners before you go jumping into junior mining companies. A lot of junior mining companies have small projects that will never be of interest.
Right.
Only a handful have projects that are going to be multi-billion ounce, targets that a major would want to acquire. And it's really up to those who invest in this sector to do their due diligence.
And it's interesting too that you say that, because again, I'm very new. Again, you're the second or third individual that I've interviewed from the mining sector, and just from somebody from the outside, I would have thought that as a junior mining company that you would actually be out and about looking for the deposits and just mining it yourselves. I never really thought about the fact that you would just be looking for a considerable, whatever you want to call it, a location that would yield a considerable amount, and then just basically sell it off to, a major mining company, which, completely makes sense. And it's probably more cost effective for you guys that way too, as opposed to actually processing everything yourselves.
Well, that's where the big win comes. Like, most junior companies will tell you that if they have a discovery, they'll say, yeah, we're going to put it into production, this and that. But if you look at the track record of junior exploration companies, only a very small percentage of them, maybe less than 1% even, are successful at finding a deposit and then taking it all the way to discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a significant percentage more are able to make a discovery and then sell that deposit or sell their company to a major mining company with great reward. Either way, look, the goal is to make money for investors. Whether it be through sale to a major mining company or taking in production themselves. The catch with putting it in production themselves is you're talking about a longer timeline. You're talking about need for acquiring more capital because it's expensive to build mines. So there's risks there. If somebody makes a great discovery, it's not just up, up, up. There's a lot of hard work, environmental studies,
Sure.
and so forth. They have to go into a mining project before it can even be constructed, right? So it's more appetizing more often than not to sell to a major who can do those hard yards.
Right. And you also mentioned, again, like doing your research, following, the different people who are involved, the key players. And, one of the names, or a couple of the names that you see thrown around a lot, are Eric Sprott and Rob McEwen, who, I noticed are actually some major shareholders of your company. Why did you invest a large stake in Newfound Gold?
Yeah, look, the story is very compelling. Newfound was a private company up until early August of this year. It drilled some holes, preliminary holes, diamond drilling holes on its property in Newfoundland in late 2019. The first hole was killer. Okay, it hit 19 meters of 93 grams per ton, which is effectively 3 ounces per ton.
No.
I mean, this is a phenomenal result in the gold world. In fact, I think that was probably the single highest grade and longest interval of any mining companies drilling anywhere in Canada last year. Okay, to put it in perspective, that's how over the top it was. Look, I looked at the geology. Look, first let me speak about Eric and Rob. I know Eric reasonably well, and I know Rob somewhat, and I know they're both very similar in terms of how they operate. They're both very intuitive, and they both can recognize high grade, potentially large discoveries based on their background. How they perceive. The data that's presented to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually how they take their investments. They put money in looking at the opportunity from a reasonably high level. I like to do the geology. So in this case, in January of this year, 2020, before COVID, I was able to go up to Newfoundland and look at the core close up. I looked at this extremely high grade intercept, and I could see similarities to another deposit that I was fortunate to work on in Australia, called the Fosterville mine or Fosterville deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Fosterville turned out to be a wild success, a very high grade mine. It's now producing gold at north of 40 grams per ton. It's got several years life ahead of it. It's a wonderful success story, and it basically created several $billions in value for the owner now, Kirkland Lake. Okay, I saw the geology of the project in Newfoundland as being nearly identical
Mm-hmm.
to the Fosterville mine in Australia. All right, so based on that, and some other data, look, I spent a while looking at it. I decided to push my company Novo to take a large stake in Newfound Gold. So we purchased 15 million shares. Back, it was right at the start of the pandemic. It was in March, but we took a large shareholding in the company, and I can't tell you how thrilled we are. I think given the results that they've had since they started their drill program in late August, they've generated some phenomenal numbers, and it's really the system's clearly growing. I think it will be. I think it could well be one of the biggest discoveries in North America. Wow. In recent time.
Yeah, and I also was looking at some numbers, and if I'm incorrect here, please correct me. But since the IPO, are shares up nearly 100% already?
Actually, it was funny. The IPO came out on the day that gold lost a large dollar value. I think gold was down like $100 or something on that day.
Yeah.
It was back in August, and the IPO I think came out around $1.30. So right now the company's trading at roughly 3 times its IPO price.
That's outstanding.
It is. It's phenomenal.
Huh.
That's why this is where even though it's a risky industry, if you find the right companies, you can do very well.
Man, I'm just going to follow your lead going forward. That's awesome. That's really, really phenomenal. Before we wrap up, do you have anything else that you would like to add as to, why people should give Newfound Gold another look?
Yeah, look, it's early days at Newfound Gold. We announced that we're doing a 100,000-meter drill program. It's 100 kilometers, to put it in perspective. That's a long, length of core. And we're only about 12% of the way through right now. So we've literally just begun. This drill program will continue over the next couple of years. If anything, it will accelerate. They'll probably end up adding some new drill rigs in the not too distant future as COVID kind of subsides or gets under control. So the company is truly on the discovery trajectory. If you look up Lassonde curve. Pierre Lassonde is, one of the most famous people in the gold mining industry. Anyway, if you type in Lassonde curve into Google, you'll find charts that show you the pattern of stock appreciation from, exploration companies of this type. And you'll see that we're on the early part of that curve. So there's a lot of room to run, in my view. I think the company will do extremely well. They have 110 kilometers of strike on this structural zone that's generating this high grade, and they've just begun drilling. So this is going to be a story that unfolds over the next couple of years, but I think will certainly reward people who hold over the longer term.
Well, it's very, very exciting to say the least. And, I'll be following the company as well. Quinton, Hennigh, I really appreciate the time. And anybody that's looking for more information on the company, you can check out newfoundgold.ca. I will put the link in the description. And again, Mr. Hennigh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Stormy.
And I just want to quickly thank these elite channel supporters. And if you haven't become a channel member, please check out the awesome perks and join today. With that, I'm the Stacking Stormtrooper. Check out these videos. Until next time, long live the Empire.